Okay, hi everyone. My name is Bella, and this is my final video for Marketing 4565. Today we'll be focusing my presentation on behaviorism and respondent conditioning. Out of the 6 schools of psychological behavior, I felt like behaviorism really embodied how social media serves as such a strong influence on people and consumers today. All right, so behaviorism emphasizes the link between a certain behavior and a certain reward. It highlights the idea that humans are learning beings, and it was founded on the idea that all humans have been uniquely programmed or conditioned to react to have specific manners and behaviors that are a result of past conditioning and the presence of environmental stimuli or cues. Okay. So there are 2 types of behaviorism: operant conditioning and respondent conditioning. Operant conditioning is the idea that behaviors are the result of prior learning regarding rewards and punishments. Respondent conditioning is the idea that behaviors are the result of prior positive and negative associations which have been established through conditioning. When trying to market appropriately to each conditioning type, it's important to be able to know your audience and what you're trying to sell to them. When marketing using operant conditioning techniques, it's important to clearly demonstrate how the products relate or rewards or punishments. While marketing using respondent conditioning, it's important to build associations, whether they're negative or positive, in the consumer's minds to leverage their existing associations and make an impact. Respondent conditioning is the concentration of behaviorism that I find to be most influential in social media. All right, before I get into more examples of respondent conditioning, I want to go a little bit more over the background and where the ideas came from. Respondent conditioning was founded in 1913 by John B. Watson, who was an American psychologist born in 1878. He served as one of the most influential founders of behaviorism until Burris Frederick Skinner, who, as we know, was pretty essential to the psychology world. Watson was unique because he worked his way up to vice president of an advertising agency, which isn't something you would necessarily expect from a psychologist. Okay, so another name for respondent conditioning is classical conditioning, or Pavlovian conditioning, after Ivan Pavlov. Pavlov's most famous experiment was where it involved him inserting a test tube into the cheeks of dogs to measure their saliva when fed. Pavlov presented a stimulus, in which case it was the ringing of a bell, to each dog right before it was fed. It wasn't long before the dogs in his experiment were beginning to salivate just at the ding of the bell, as they were expecting to be fed afterwards. With repetition, Pavlov discovered that dogs reacted to the stimulus and were having responses. Okay, so the repetition in Pavlov's experiment is one of the main reasons why I believe that respondent conditioning and behaviorism are the biggest contributors to social media's influence on people today. With social media's presence and influence growing so exponentially every year for around the past 10 to 15 years, it highlights how much of an effect the presence of social media has on trends. Trends and fads are moving faster than they ever have, and I believe that this is due to the repetition that we see every day on social media. It all starts by one person posting some kind of photo on social media and the post getting some traction. It might be that people like her hair or her outfit or the way she did her makeup or her nails in the photo. Other girls on the internet who like this photo are going to begin to idealize this girl and her post. When they see that she's getting a lot of traction for her online post, they're going to try to start to do something similar on their own page. Thus, the concept of the it girl has begun. Platforms like Pinterest, Visco, Instagram, and later TikTok have given the world instant access to seeing what others are doing and creating the want to fit in and be more like each other because everyone else is doing it. For example, let's look at the Visco girl fad. Around the time that I was in middle school and the beginning of high school, girls were going absolutely viral on platforms like Visco and Instagram for their photos. Photos usually had something to do with the beach, wavy hair, oversized t-shirts, beaded and shell bracelets and necklaces, Kanken backpacks, and last but certainly not least, the infamous Hydro Flask. Bonus points if it was covered in stickers. This beachy girl aesthetic grew in popularity so quickly, to the point where if someone was carrying a water bottle, it wouldn't be anything but a Hydro Flask. The repetition of this look that girls saw online convinced them that in order to be cool and on trend, they needed to dress in the same way as those physical girls and own the same items. Okay, so another more recent example of repetition in social media is with the clean girl aesthetic. This aesthetic is achieved with slick back buns, minimalistic and neutral clothing and jewelry, and a 17-step skincare routine that will leave your skin glowing and radiant. Part of this routine includes 2 products that every girl has been trying to get her hands on for the last year: the Drunk Elephant de Bronzy Sunshine Drops and the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Stick. All of the TikTok it girls are consistently using these products in their Get Ready With Me videos, which simultaneously makes every girl on TikTok think that they also need these products, while selling the distributors out for months at a time, which we all know creates an even intenser want for the product once we can't get our hands on it. I believe that this is really due to the thought process behind using respondent conditioning to market to consumers. When brands send their products to influencers, they know that those influencers are going to use the products in a video, and an association is therefore created. Respondent conditioning emphasizes the idea of creating associations, whether they are positive or negative, to a brand in order for the products to sell. I want to take this opportunity to highlight 2 examples of this in the media. The first example is Alex Earle. Okay, Alex Earle is TikTok's It Girl of the Year. As a marketing major herself, the likable University of Miami student knows how to keep her audience hooked. Every product that she uses in a video is bound to be sold out the next day because of the chokehold she has on her TikTok audience. Alex gained over 2 million followers in just under a month at the beginning of this year, so it's pretty clear that she has a rapidly growing influence. Alex's life is like no other, constantly bouncing from class to clubs to beauty appointments to influencer trips abroad. Her audience is just eating this content up. She's creating numerous positive associations with all of her products she's using and the clothes she's wearing because she's drawing people in and creating them the want to be more like her. Alex Earle has created a very positive example of associations in the media. However, I do want to highlight another creator on social media who hasn't necessarily had the same luck. Michaela Negoria is a makeup artist based out of Boston who also had quickly had a rise to fame. Followers of Michaela valued her down-to-earth personality and credibility when it came to product recommendations as a former Ulta employee. Things started going downhill when followers began to question whether or not Michaela was wearing false lashes during a mascara review for the mascara of the moment, the L'Oreal Paris Telescopic Mascara. If it was true that Michaela was wearing false lashes during that video, it would ruin her credibility as a creator. This scandal caused a massive uproar on TikTok, calling for just about anyone with a following to try out this mascara for themselves and see if it truly did lengthen their lashes or confirm that Michaela was wearing false lashes. Although this created a negative association with her own brand, this craze of the mascara caused it to sell out everywhere. Nobody could bear to wait to get their hands on it and try it out themselves. So even though the association she created wasn't necessarily a positive one, it still did its job and marketed the product appropriately. In my opinion, out of the 6 schools of psychological thought, behaviorism currently represents why social media has had such a large influence on consumers. The repetition we see on social media today, whether it comes from influencers or just consumers at large, is the main contributor to how fast trends are moving and highlights the lack of individuality that social media is creating. I wanted to thank you guys for your time and for listening to my presentation, and here are my resources. Thank you.